Hello everyone. On behalf of IMT Center for Distance Learning, I welcome you all to the Institutional Innovation Council session on achieving problem solution fit and product problem fit with Mr. Tenzin Tharge, a monk and a capitalist. This is what we fondly would like to address him. You know, most of the times we always think around that some of the startups they become unicorns while others, despite their brilliant ideas, they fade away. Today we are deep diving into the secret of startup success. I know it is a huge topic, we can go on and on into it, but this session is just a starting for developing that understanding that what could be the possible focus areas and where there could be the problems which can be there, which can be addressed. So hello everybody, I'm Dr. Ashok Sharma, Dean at IMT Center for Distance Learning, and with me today is Mr. Tenzin, a corporate professional turned serial entrepreneur who is in love with technology and its ability to transform lives. We all have seen a lot of transformation happening because of technology. He has dealt in gaming, health tech, fintech, edtech, etc. Today in our talk, we'll try to bring across some basic understanding regarding how to really find that your product or your idea is fit into the market. So we say it as a problem solution fit or even a product market fit. Both of the things are quite similar to each other. And a lot of time they are being used interchangeably also by different set of people. But we'll try to go more deep into it, try to understand what all things we need to be doing so that our idea becomes a more practical, viable, and is able to meet a long-term business goal. Similarly, we'll also try and explore, is there a certain method by which we can test and refine our ideas? Before going further, just a small introduction of our guest of the day. Tenzin is BTech Computer Science from NIT Calicut, and I am Bangalore 2003 pass out. He has been an investment banker for 3 years, where he has launched the first balanced scorecard based performance management system, which is applicable to an investment bank. Then he entered into the marketing and domain and was product head at Rediff, where they launched India's first AdWords platform. So he has managed the classified and paid ads, which together contributed around 25% revenues of Rediff.com. Just remember, these were the earlier days. Google wasn't that much popular. It was Rediff, which actually Yahoo and Rediff, they were the one who were taking the shots across. So on those words, when still the imaginations were actually gaining across, and it was mostly sort of a fiction that we were thinking of that this is going to be the internet revolution. And what we see today is something that wasn't at that instance of time even thought of. He was a founder of a food tech company, raised pre-series A, approximately $1 million, and then sold it, that company also. And he used to run like 14 to 15 restaurants across Mumbai. So he was a co-founder, CEO, and also managed the sales and marketing operations. Further, he had the second venture. He was co-founder for a health and a fintech company and raised 5 million. and then again sold a stake to the investors. So now it has crossed around 100 crores of AUM and around zero point 0.5 million US dollars in 2016 from Let's Venture and Calcutta Angels. They have also raised Series A of 5 million US dollar from Waterbridge Ventures, SRI Finance, Oreos Ventures in 2018. And then again, as a co-founder and COO, managed product development, marketing, sales, business development, hospital onboarding, NBFC. So like as a startup, almost into each and every areas of operation. So that itself gives him a quite in-depth understanding regarding how the startup ecosystem works across. He further has got his credit to mentor a large gaming company also and helping them in monetizing. Similarly, he has assisted India's largest edtech platform, which later turned into a fintech vertical also. And that fintech vertical actually achieved the milestone of 50 crores AUMs in B2C and B2B and 2C models. So that itself speaks about the great achievement that is having. And the list I see is going on and on and on. Just to put it across, he has been uh, assisting Anand Rathi Group company to build an HR tech solution, a portal, and a diversity toolkit. And currently, he is also the as a founder and CEO of a legal firm, restthecase.com. Right. So, here he is implementing the various Gen AI tools for lawyers, which could help them in summarizing the case, help in the case laws, and drafting agreement, compliance tracker, and so on. And above all, he's also running an incubator for startups for giving help in terms of different domains across the startup ecosystem. Tenzin, I
Yes,
can go on and on for so long,
please,
and
sir.
the list I see across is not going to be ending. So, it's really great to have you here on board. And
Please, sir.
for today's topic, I feel like, Mr. There could not be anybody better than Tenzin who can really explain the concept of the problem solution fit and product problem fit.
Please, sir.
Just to set the tone, we already have seen a lot many startups coming across, coming and going, and just two small startups I would like to quickly put across here. One is way back in 2010. We all have heard about it, that a small company started delivering home cooked meals in Mumbai. Good food, passionate founders, decent funding, yet they failed within a year. And then came 2014 when Swiggy was launched, seemingly a similar service. And then, boom, today they are worth billions. So there is some sort of a difference which is happening. So there was a problem which in 2010 was also being identified, and then there was solution that was being offered, but it didn't work. On a similar, another startup which touched our life, it's Paytm, the payment app. They first understood that the Indians needed a payment solution that worked even with the poor connectivity. So I see that this is a problem and a solution fit which is happening across. But what I feel the magic actually happened when it went on deep into the small vendors, small shop, big retailers, and the scale was phenomenal. So there was a product and a market which has been happened across. So with this understanding, I would like to really understand, what are the things, Tenzin, which actually drives a founder at the first point of time, like how you are able to get across to an idea, then idea to the market, and then how the entire process works across.
Wonderful, sir. Thank you, Ashok ji. And thank you all, I would say my fellow, I would say enthusiasts and existing co-founders and prospective entrepreneurs, because we all are sailing the same boat. So I keep telling everyone that how Zepto's founders today are just some young, early 20s kids. So age is not a criteria and number of years is also not a criteria. So I think, we are in a stage where we can say kuch bhi ho sakta hai. So that way, I think we have to have an open mind. So Ashok ji, sir, please allow me. I'll, try to build some background and then come to the nuances, right? So
Sure, sure, sure.
thank you, sir. Yeah. So by the way, maybe Ashok ji, if allows me, we can have some, further interactions. So I'm also trying to write a book. Book is on the learnings of Indian philosophy, rather ancient Indian philosophy, and so key aspects like Shunyata and Advaita, which are at least 2000 years old in India. So they have found relevance, especially in last 100 years in areas of atomic physics. Now they are relevant in quantum mechanics and they are finding relevance in Gen AI also. So people need to kind of correlate, right? So there is a vast topic, but idea is that these learnings will help us, for lack of a better word, calm our mind, focus, so that we are able to see the undercurrents. Because otherwise, I feel that we keep on going in circles. One thing which I generally say as a very simplistic explanation is that today hard work, honesty, integrity, etc. are hygiene. When I say hygiene, remember during our 10th, let's say board exam, we all had an admit card. Admit card allowed us to get inside the examination hall. Without admit card, we couldn't enter the exams. But admit card will not make sure what percentage we'll get. So today, integrity, hard work, and your honesty are like the admit card. Without admit card, you can't get inside the examination hall, right? So when we are talking about these aspects, so the hygiene part is expected to be there, right? So we can't be not serious, we can't be not with the right skills, we can't be without honesty, integrity. That is, I think, the basic foundation. But that will not make sure that success comes to us, right? Success will come because of multiple other areas. So, in fact, I do remember someone telling that, to be lucky, we have to be there. Luck only comes when we are there. And honestly speaking, in entrepreneurship, if you see, the hygiene part is not at all any differentiator. Honesty, integrity, and your hard work will cease to be differentiator. Everyone has it. Those who are, in the startup world, everyone is with that hygiene. So now, key thing is, are we consistent and are we, kind of able to understand the problem statement? So to be able to understand the problem statement and consistently be there, that those aspects are relevant. And honestly, people may agree or disagree. Luck also plays a big role. But I said to be lucky, you have to be there. You can't be sitting somewhere else. Lady luck will then say Tata bye bye. so, so, so that's the key part. So I will, in the remaining part of the session, I'll introduce my fellow, I would say, founders and entrepreneurs to some frameworks also. Before that, I'll try to, kind of give some background which perhaps may help us understand better, right? So my take is that before we dive into a problem, can we try to understand what are the aspects involved, what is the ecosystem parameters. Let me give you one example. Maybe people here may relate to it also, right? So there are some lessons from war history, right? So we all know how, during the 12th century, Mongols were a formidable force, right? Genghis Khan built a mighty army, and from Mongolia, which was actually more like a rural landscape, they came, conquered China, conquered entire Central Asia, and also reached Europe, right? So Mongols did not have superior weaponry. Mongols did not have your bigger, sort of arms, ammunition, or, more like a heavy kind of a machinery aspects like that, right? Because they were from a rural economy. What they did was they improvised the process. So, for example, in their case, and I'm using this as an example to say that how they assembled their your assets, or their the aspects which they owned, and how they used that as a very, very, fine tuned and superior weaponry. And it was not a weapon per se, it was a process. So some things, and then we'll come back. So, but to for the sake of finishing the argument, so Mongol army under Genghis Khan developed certain things. First was that their army was very, very structured. So they had a 10 people group, then a 100 people company, and a 1,000 people battalion. In fact, in Afghanistan today also, you have people who are called as Hazaras, because Hazar was a unit of 1,000 people army. So people who stayed there from the Mongol army, they are called as Hazaras today. It's a community now. So once they reach Europe, which is Genghis Khan's grandson reached Europe, and if you read that part of history, which not many people perhaps would have gone, so they did not lose a single battle. They went with around 60, 70,000 soldiers, and they completely annihilated the Polish army, the Hungarian army, the the Czech and Slovaks. They were about to come to France, but they had to go back because, according to Mongol tribal customs, since Genghis Khan had died, all the tribal leaders had to be back, so they couldn't come back. So some things, and then they were very minor things, right? So, for example, in Europe, the enemies, which were the French or the Polish or in fact the Scandinavians, etc., they used to go in a manner where the knight used to be easily visible, and he had a clear kind of a unit which was focused around it, and they used to use bugles sound to move around the army, and easily. And then the knight used to wear an armor of around 35 kg, whereas the Mongol army, so the European army was 80% cavalry, foot soldiers, and some amount of your sorry, 80% infantry and around 20% cavalry, whereas the Mongol army was 90% cavalry, right? And they were mules. Mules had a added advantage that in your snow covered areas, mules could find grass, horse cannot. So how they designed the overall machinery towards success. So that's what I'm trying to point out, right? So then in their case, the leader of that battalion was not visible. So you couldn't figure out who is the leader. And they did not use sound. They used your flags, red flag, yellow flag, green flag. So entire army used to move silently. So the enemy did not know what are they going to do, right? And each cavalry man used to have a silk shirt and a very, your thin leather jacket. They realized that when an arrow comes, arrow will go inside the knight's armor this much. Likewise, it will enter the leather jacket also with a similar depth. They said that let's be light. So idea is that how they designed and improvised the process step by step, which led them to that for next 150, 200 years, Mongol army was undefeated. They later on got defeated because Mongol army got split. So the cousins fought with each other. But that's a different part of the story. Right. So what I'm saying is that First, we need to see that there is no holy grail. There is no kind of a magic equation while designing product. We have to improve the process completely. So let's come to a few aspects, right? So maybe if I were to look at, let's say, gaming as a funnel. So now, if you look at multiple games, look at hyper casual games, your casual games, your daily fantasy, which is part of hyper casual, as well as your real money gaming like poker rummy. So if you look at poker rummy or if you look at Ludo, the gameplay is very similar. So there is very less your room for people to innovate. Imagine your Ludo, your gameplay you change, and then you will face a problem that people are not able to understand what game is it, right? So that is why considering the conventional games, gameplay ceases to be a differentiator. So these games are then very similar. So in that case, point what I'm trying to say is that the whole USP, unique selling proposition, gets commoditized. Now between two player, you can't differentiate. Two player with rummy game can't differentiate. So then the funnel becomes important, right? So the product is not just the game, product is the entire funnel also perhaps included in it. So for example, if you have launched a game, what is your day one churn, right? So the day one churn, is it 50% or more, right? So if it is 50% or less, then for example, there is a very large gaming company. Their criteria was that on day one churn, if it is more than 50%, that means of the 100 people, 50 are not staying there or 60% not staying there. They said this game is something which we will not promote. Let's go back to the drawing board. Let's improvise, right? So day one churn 50% or less, day seven 30% or less, day 30 10% or less. So these things will help you understand in case of gaming how is the game progressing. Then you have further other aspects in real mini gaming. You may also want to measure the deposits. For example, by day 30 of the 10%, then how many people have deposited how much? In the 6 month scenario, then for example, in Rummy, you may want to have a person making 3,000 or 4,000 rupees as deposits, right? So then you also see what is the cohort which is staying there. So because gone are the days when we had just your kind of a layout and then you're sitting peacefully ki apni to nikal padi. No, that will not happen, right? Because then you need to test these scenarios. You have to do A/B testing and then understand things better. So now so this approach is, I think, relevant when you are in a very large company like Infosys Wipro. But when you are an entrepreneur, then you have to look at some other aspects also, right? So now for that, I would urge you that please look at the industry P&L, right? So now, for example, when you look at, let's say, industry like F&B, right? Restaurants. So we used to run restaurants, right? So in that case, then we used to compare ourselves with the P&L of Domino's. Domino's is the market leader. So why I urge you to look at financials, for example, I have spent time in healthcare where we used to look at the P&L balance sheet of your Apollo or Narayan Hridayalaya or Max, right? So if now talking about Domino's P&L, so then we need to see because product eventually, imagine if it is Domino's, what is the product? How do you implement it? So these are multiple aspects, right? We can't come with a ivory tower approach that here is a product, now sell it. And then you are not bothered what is marketing doing, what is sales doing. So that your school is long dead, right? So here we are in a more kind of a composite manner, right? So now going back to, for example, Domino's, if you look at the P&L of the total revenue, 20% to 22% is food cost, including consumables, 24%, right? Labor cost is 20% something. Then rentals are 10-12%. Then miscellaneous costs, etc., including marketing, advertisement, and the EBITDA, earning before interest, tax, depreciation, amortization, is around 15-17%, right? So now when we look at it and imagine you are a restaurant, when we were a restaurant, we had to do a lot of product testing. We realized that our food cost was going more than 30%. And your this labor cost, the personal cost, HR cost was also going more than 30% because there was a churn, because we were not able to retain people for long, because people in restaurant are not paid very high and their education levels are also low. So I'm saying it helps to see the funnel. What is the industry leader doing? In that case, then you are able to correlate, because otherwise you will sit in an ivory tower. You will think I am the product manager. I have done my job and tata bye bye. No, no. So that will not work, right? So that is why I'm saying, rather than thinking ourselves as sitting inside Infosys, Wipro, or Google, let's think of ourselves as an entrepreneur, where then our product, your configuration aspect will talk to the P&L, because as an entrepreneur we have to be worried about it, right? So we know, we see the funnel moving very fast. If it is working or not working, we'll immediately know, because in larger companies product journey is very long. And incidentally, if you see, unfortunately in India, you look at large companies like Infosys, Wipro, TCS, or your Cognizant, etc., none of them have products. It's a very big statement, because these are maintenance companies. So we are
Mhm.
happy to do that, right? In
Mhm.
India, for some reasons, because to work on product we need to work on long bets. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, and when I say that, I know before these companies I am a very small person. These are giants, but none of them are having any world class large products. They are happy doing working on an Oracle or a SAP, or a Salesforce. It's a long story, but point is that to be able to work on innovative products, it is good to put ourselves in the shoes of an entrepreneur. Then we will able to see the entire your value chain, right? So now your some aspects, and as I said, each one can go deeper into bigger sessions. But first part which I wanted to emphasize was that we need to be grounded and we need to have peace of mind to work about the product. Second is, let's understand the overall P&L of the industry, so that we are more closer to the problem statement. So we will not see only one aspect that let me give you one example. I knew the founders. There is a company called as Zest Money, which was at one time a unicorn, which is a $1 billion company. But unfortunately, then they faced issues. But one aspect which affected them and is affecting a lot of fintech companies was that they were largely focused on the online your population, which is the Flipkart, Amazon population, because excessive targeting of that population meant that after a while the credit quality started going low, because the bucket was overflowing, right? Because when we are targeting only on that segment, that means after a while we will not get more customers. So they
Mhm.
had to move towards what I call as a hybrid approach, more physical, where they were good credit quality your prospects, but somehow the company did not go there. So I'm saying this challenge is also being faced by other companies, because if you see, I was looking at a statistic shown by a very senior person, that there are 3.5 crore households in India who own four-wheelers, and roughly around 3.5 crore people only who have credit card, and roughly a similar number which are who are paying income tax. So of the 150 crore people, the Amazon Flipkart customer is this cohort, not more than 5 crores, not more than 5%. So to make product for the masses is another challenge. That's why in agriculture, in healthcare, in education, companies are struggling, startups are struggling, because to scale there, we have to come outside this comfort area. We can't stay only digital, won't work, right? So we have to go and talk to that India which is outside, so-called Bharat. We have to go outside, and then we will see that what are the contours of that. So it's a larger aspect. So now coming back to some of the frameworks, I will. So Ashok sir, I will share my screen and I'll run through two frameworks, sir, and then after that we can come to sir questions also. Yeah, if you allow me. Thank you, sir. Sir, can you see the screen? Okay,
Yes, I can see it. I can see.
sir. Yeah. So this is basically a methodology which I think is like, once we have done what we already discussed and come to a level where we want to work on a product. So key thing is to identify the use cases. And this is the framework which incidentally I got introduced to while I was at Rediff. And it's a very, very, I would say, useful methodology. Use case is basically something which helps us, understand the various engagement parameters for which we have to define the actors. So we have to define key actors and define their primary goals and list down what makes them happy and what makes them unhappy. And then we further create more like a decision tree, right? So if you see here, this particular, kind of use case is around travel. So we have individual travelers, SME travelers, business travelers, family travel agents, and senior citizens. So individual traveler, I'm just reading it. So I'll share the screens with the PPT with Ashok sir, and people can access it also. So what people are doing is checking info across airlines, the OTAs, and SMS based information and contextual information, and we sort the views, right, which will eventually lead to your results.
Tenzin, can
Individual
you
travel,
put this on a slideshow and then share? The visibility would be a bit higher.
is it better, sir?
Yes, yes, yes. It's good now. It's good now.
Wonderful, sir. Yeah. Sorry, I'll sir say it again.
Yeah.
So now use case basically is a different engagement scenarios where we need to first identify actor, right? And in this case, the product was called as iShare. So now we have to identify, as I said, in a methodology, identify principal actors, identify their primary goals, and then identify what makes them happy and unhappy. And we need to work on the overall list. So now, if you look at principal actors, in this case of travel, it could be individual traveler, SMEs, business travelers, family, travel agents, senior citizens, etc. So looking at individual traveler, he could be doing checking information across airlines on SMS or contextual. This is slightly dated. This could be today a WhatsApp and then contextual info and sorting of views. And eventually he leads to the results. So individual traveler, in order to find cheapest tickets, would also be looking at further, steps. So in this case, what perhaps would make him unhappy are, if uh, the the landing integration, which means, when you go to OTAs, that integration is not working, data is inconsistent, which is old data, or multiple purchase modes are not there in terms of restriction, or the your personalization is not there, right, and etc. Right. So this list could be further extended. So the use case starts if you go to the right side when user clicks on airline tickets, in this case Rediff homepage, and the your application will throw up the results. User then identify the destination, dates, and display the results, and then see the results sorted and chooses the best air option, and then clicks on the final option, right? So this is a flow in which we would expect him to go. And likewise, so this is basically kind of a decision tree, which is again kind of your similar this user flow. So user clicks on home page, input source destination date, chooses best option, clicks on checking site, and then sorts by price and cheaper rates. Business traveler would also click on home page, input source destination, choose best option, send it to his agent. So then one a small variation and sorts the full price and airline, right? Travel agent would look at, slightly differently, go to application, input source destination, choose this best option, send this to the client and sorts by price. So if you see, the all three actors are going on the home page, and then they have some similar steps and some kind of your steps which have variations. Ashok sir, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah.
sir, what we just saw was actually a very nice kind of a framework which may help us work on your, kind of detailing the product, this, development, especially keeping in mind our understanding of the requirements of the user. Yeah. So that is, sir, across all kind of categories. This was largely B2C. We saw some aspects of B2B also. So now, sir, coming to this slide, this is sir, your presentation made by a VC for their in-house investee companies.
Okay.
So I use it in a while my discussions with my clients also, or for my internal teams also. So I'll use this because someone has already done a fairly detailed work. Yes, sir. Yeah. So this is used by Bloom Ventures, which is a fairly well respected and large VC. So now this step comes after the first step, which we discussed in terms of the use case narrative. So here we are saying that there is a MVP ready, minimum viable product is ready. Yeah. So then we go to then how to basically look at the product market fit. Yeah.
Yeah. Just a small query coming into my mind. Can you elaborate on this MVP, minimum viable product, so that audience can understand
Yes,
it?
sir. So, sir, minimum viable product, there is no kind of a very specific answer. It basically means something which can be deployed, right? So
Okay.
if we reflect on what Steve Jobs had written in one of his article is quick and dirty, right? So idea is not to wait for a best case scenario. Idea is that how we can, put a working framework together and then let it, to be played around and users can actually check it. So it could be an application or a website or an information site. There are multiple ways to look at it. So today, if you see, especially under Gen AI, the product funnel is changing very fast. So we are basically using some of the existing LLMs and then creating some very interesting interaction scenarios. Right. So the list is endless. Key thing is minimum viable product would be a working prototype which can be used by end user. Sir.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So, thank
Please,
you.
sir. Sure. Thank you, sir. Yeah. So now, we go ahead and then, so if you see PMA product market fit, it's written by one senior. So again, some kind of understanding that, how a early stage company or a mid tier company or a growth stage company would look at it, right, in terms of journey, funding, risk. Yeah. So one illustration which actually is very funny, but brings home the point that what is the product market fit? Huh? So yeah,
True.
so sir, this is also MVP.
Yes.
So it's
True, true.
working.
Yes. True, 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 true.
So sir, some definitions again given by some seniors. Product market fit is you are drowning in demand. Product is used by many customers, or proving there is a market with a need for your product, or people grabbing product out of hands. So now there is no kind of a specific definition, but key thing is that users are using it. You are able to sir see improved engagement. That I think is a good way to understand. So this basically someone is describing what will happen. So if you see Sir, in the first your quadrant, it is wobbling. So this is a time when a lot of people may give up. So it is natural to understand that in the first quadrant, things will go in a very, very haphazard manner. Then it is stabilizing, maybe not growing, but just stabilizing. And then growth phase comes later. Yeah. So, sir, they have interestingly divided product market fit into two parts: product problem fit and motion market fit. So, product problem fit is to build an MVP fast and quickly get user feedback and iterate. So one thing, sir, we need to understand is speed is also very important. We need to basically iterate and be able to go to market pretty fast. And then, sir, second part which they have described, which is basically after stabilization is achieved, that figure out the ideal scalable GTM. So what they are giving their your suggestion, sir, is identify the persona, identify the problem, then the product comes, right? And then as it's written, product doesn't have to be complete. It is the MVP, which is basically something which we can push to the market and people can use it. That example of a overbridge was very nice example, that it's working without the all the paraphernalia, right? So now, if you see some of the signs of PPF, so seen Alice test is one criteria where 40% or more reply very disappointed to the question that what would you feel if the product is no longer available, right? So we can do this test. And some other aspects, like in case of B2C, as I was telling, the retention curve day 90 is 10%. That means 10% or more people should be there with you on day 90, which is the day one cohort. If day 90 is roughly 3 months, so imagine you started onboarding on 1st of Jan. So by 30th or 31st of March, you should at least have 10% of the people who came on March 1st. For B2B, B2B is very people oriented, sales oriented, person to person oriented. So for SMBs, the onboarding speed can be 45 days, for mid-market 3 months, and for enterprise customer 9 months. So that means, we need to have the patience. So imagine you are selling a ERP or a CRM to an enterprise customer. So one needs to have patience of 9 months to before that. So, sir, another on the three areas of motion market fit from a scalability angle, your MVP should be scalable, which means, sir, that we should be able to deliver. Whether it is soap, we should be able to produce, package, and logistics should work. If it is, sir, a game, the process shouldn't break, the user experience shouldn't break. Then retention or repeats. So you have repeatability B2C or B2B high retention and unit positivity. So iterate till you hit CM2 or when your revenue from product covers all variable costs to generate that revenue. So this is an interesting part, and let me clarify. So every product will have two costs. One is the variable cost and one is the fixed cost, right? Variable cost is basically, if it is a burger, it is the food cost and the marketing cost. Fixed cost is your rentals and your central kitchen cost. So what the author is telling is that you should be able to recover your variable cost, which is the cost of goods, food cost, and marketing cost, so that you are not basically bleeding on the variable cost. So then, sir, it also talks about that have a clear person identified in terms of the target market, right, seek the right channels, and finalize the message. So these things we will learn over time, that, for example, it is B2B, what channel works? Will your direct door-to-door marketing will work, or will your conferencing work, or will going on a your this mass market channel like print work. So these things have to be tested and keep refining the persona channel message mix. So this is a very intricate task. We need to capture the data and optimize for the mix by changing the message first, then the channel, then the person. So there is a method of how to change it. And but these are sir very data dependent task, and one needs to be very clear on what we are doing. Otherwise, it would be counterproductive. So signs of motion market first and product market fit basically. So the author is telling growth with high retention usage, monthly double-digit growth. Can we have it? This is in terms of user acquisition, and churn is less than 3% for enterprise, less than 7% for mid-market, and less than 20% for SMB. And for B2C, less than 10% churn. This is in a stable state, and usage B2C less greater than 50% customer do a desirable daily action of the people who are already with us after the churn. And sustainable unit economics is CM2 positive, which basically is that the variable cost is being covered.
So this data, the churn rate less than 3%, 7% mind market, is this something which is sort of a standard that we can have?
Sir, I think we can use this as a standard because, sir, this is, I know this VC team personally. They are, sir, very genuine and very, very respected, sir. Because to get this data is really very difficult, sir. So we can use this as a standard industry benchmark, sir. Yeah. So now if we see in a steady state on the last part to how to check CM2 positive, LTV CAC ratio is 3:1, which means that, sir, if your acquisition cost is 100 rupees, your lifetime value should be 300 rupees. So this doesn't come immediately. This will come, my guess is, sir, after 12 months. Generally, for first 6 months, it could be that LTV CAC is 1:1 for a new product. That means 100 rupees acquisition cost and 100 rupees LTV. And after that, sir, it starts, becoming favorable. Then sales and marketing cost as 1/3
of a small query coming here in my mind. Can you please elaborate this LTV concept, lifetime value concept, so that people are able to understand?
Lifetime value is, sir, that typically lifetime value here we can take it as a 12-month horizon. Imagine a user who was onboarded on month 1, a cohort, right? Month 1, 100 people. So if you see, sir, as we were discussing, by day 30, any which way, sir, for gaming, 10% or less people would be there. The churn, 90% would have churned. Now, of the remaining, sir, if people, let's say, deposit 3,000 or 4,000 rupees as deposits, and then your, sir, acquisition cost is, let's say, also 3,000, 4,000. So then it is 1:1. So LTV can be taken in a 12-month horizon, sir, that what has the customer paid to you. Yes, sir. So CAC to LTV, as I said, acquisition cost is cost spent to acquire that user, and LTV is 12 months, what has he paid you. Sir.
True. So like again, we are talking about churn less than 3% for enterprise, 7% for mind market, and less than 20% for SMB.
Yes, sir.
So can you like simplify this a bit? Like,
so, sir, what he's saying that less than 3% for enterprises in this case, sir, our B2B users who have been acquired. So the churn should not be more than 3% in your 6-month or a 9-month sir horizon, because enterprise customers are, sir, direct 1-to-1 based. Yes. So if you look at the other side, which is SMB, is a small and medium business. Here, sir, reaching them sometimes, because these users are those who would be not very tech savvy or not very, sir, let's say, for example, if we have a marketing message, they may or may not understand, because MSMEs, SMBs are typically, sir, for lack of better word, lalaji businesses.
Yes.
So that is why, sir, the churn percentages are different for both of them.
Okay.
Yeah. So there is a bigger churn expected for lalaji business and a lesser churn for enterprise. Because once enterprise is onboarded, then idea is that they will stay with you. Because sir, this is about retention, if you see, sir,
Yes.
of the people who are onboarded. So that is why, sir, if you see in a typical SaaS model, so their revenue doesn't dip. But SaaS also is now changing, sir. You had
Yes.
software as a service earlier, which is, let's say, HR tech companies like a Darwin Box. But now there is a new term which is service as software, where there are dips.
True.
Yeah. So then looking at the last point on CM2 positive, either LTV CAC is 3:1 or S&M sales and marketing cost is 1/3 of contribution margin, or sales yield is greater than 1. Either of the three, that means, sir, we have sustainable unit economics. So this, again, the author is Sajid Pai from Bloom. So we have multiple examples of scalable GTM or predictable, repeatable, unit positive customer acquisition. Yeah. So this, I'll share the slide, sir. So one small example of product market fit is the author is talking of analogy of a well. If we lower the bucket and draw it up, it will have water, which is predictable. If I can do it 100 or 1,000 of times, that is repeatable. And if I can do it where the energy required is lower, maybe using solar energy, then it is sustainable, unit positive. It's a very simple example.
True. Absolutely true.
So predictability, repeatability, and sustainability, I think we can understand from here, sir. Thanks to the author. Sir.
You have explained the entire concept in an excellent way.
Please, sir. Please, sir. So, yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, some more examples, sir. Let's read it. If you plan to build an enduring company, the number one thing you need is a market that's large enough. Right? One senior has written. And so some, further scenarios. So idea is, how do you identify what is the key aspect on which you need to build a product? So some learning shared there. So either you can base it on personal pain or experience, or prospect various problems and opportunities, or pivot towards, so you had a product one and you are pivoting to product two. So three scenarios which are identified as beginning point for product. So then some explanation, pain or personal experience. So for example, if you see, sir, Fanindra Sama in 2007-8 created Redbus. So he had personal experience there, sir, based on which he created the bus booking platform.
Yes.
And sir, your Sachin and Vinny Bansal started Flipkart largely because of their book buying experience. And so some of these examples, sir. And second is, we actually do proper prospecting, where we are, talking to people and creating some proper kind of a framework, or we pivot our existing product. So one very good example is, sir, we all know Slack. Slack is a communication tool, sir.
Yes.
So Slack originally, sir, and it is a 10-year-old story. Slack originally was launched by a company. The company had raised funds to become a gaming company. So the team was also, sir, very, very strong. But unfortunately, despite their good work, sir, they failed. And they had raised a couple of $100 million. So then they said what to do. So then they realized that, sir, that within their teams, they used to use in-house product to communicate, product people to marketing people to sales people. So that product, then they said, let's launch this product, which actually became Slack. And sir, Slack, was acquired by Microsoft for $26 billion. So, sir, the product started more like a, sir, that kuch kar lete hain. We have already failed. So what to do? Sir.
True. So it's more so accidental, if I say.
Yes,
That
sir. Yes, sir.
you're
The right
getting
word,
across
sir.
onto it.
The
Nah,
right word, sir. Yes.
nah.
Because,
So,
sir, when you have a fertile mind, sir, it is like a fertile, sir, that field. A farmer can grow rice as well as sugarcane there, provided he is enterprising. Sir, yeah. So idea is focus on problems. Don't get trapped into building a product early. Pick a problem that has a slant, tailwinds with some indicators, bigger profit pools, unfair advantage. So these are some good to have things. Sometimes we may not have this kind of information, sir, because in India, unfortunately, most of the time we are an information starved country, sir.
yes,
If you see, sir, our last census, so now that this is a bigger debate, our last census was done in 2011. So
yes,
after that, sir, there is no data.
no
So
data.
we are all doing
So,
guesswork only, sir. So, so
absolutely
that
true,
way,
absolutely
yeah,
true.
please, sir, yeah. So don't rush and look at, solution validation, etc. Yeah. So pivot on the market, not the product. And product market fit is not a one and done thing. You need to, constantly evolve. It's a grind, sir. Yeah. And founder's role. So arrive at a minimum viable product. B2C is relatively easier to launch, and B2B is harder to get quick feedback. So focus on the feedback and try shortcutting the process by co-creating the product with your consumer, work with some of these large clients. So incidentally, sir, I remember last time, if we all know BillDesk. BillDesk is, a 3-4 billion dollar kind of a company, which is into
Yes.
payments, sir. Yeah. So I know the founder personally. So after Arthur Anderson, sir, collapsed after the Enron problem, right? This is early 2000. So they started BillDesk, and for first 2-3 years, sir, they did nothing but worked with State Bank of India. That's what I know them. So they used to work like an extended arm of State Bank because State Bank is so large. They were trying to solve State Bank's problem, and that is why, sir, this point number three, by working and co-creating the product, then once they had State Bank's, sir, stamp of approval, all other banks started accepting them. And we know,
Okay.
sir, they became large and really very large. Yeah? And work on increased iterations and see how consumer interact with product, etc. So we need to work on the capturing data on the feedback loop. And some further examples.
True.
So this framework is interesting, sir. Using persona, how will you reach? Using channel, which are the channels and what is the message? So each is of equal importance. And sir, the author has given some example. B2C go to market. I will reach dog owners in Gurgaon by sponsoring dog parks. Or B2B is I will reach marketers who spend 1 crore a year on digital marketing via inbound channel using content marketing. Another way. Sir. So B2B, B2C, be careful about end user versus economic buyer, which means we need to identify who is the actual buyer. And performance marketing content, account based your sales partnership when we are identifying the right channel. Look at viral performance marketing content. So these are, so this is like a laundry list. This is not
Laundry
a,
list.
sir, kind of a fixed solution. We need to iterate. So message, narrative, collateral, emails, AdWord, display ad. It depends on how much of budget we can spare also, sir. Because at times startups have to be frugal. Yeah. Then we have understanding GTM channels, B2C, organic viral growth, referral. We can identify influencers, SEO, content-led inbounds. Then B2B, SEO content, PR-led, community-led, organic. Community is a very interesting part, sir, especially in B2B. So one can spend some time building it and, have, so WhatsApp today is like a very effective platform to build communities. So one needs to spend some time, sir. And we have then field sales, emails, account based marketing, cold calling, events, performance marketing. It's like a laundry list. sir.
a
Yeah.
lot less. True.
Then further some, sir, kind of explanations on what they have done, sir.
Mhm.
Your another, extension of the same. Yeah. So this is last is the resource list. I'll share the PPT with you, sir.
Sure, sure, sure,
So
sure.
you can share it with all the interested people. So it's a
True,
good starting point, sir. A lot of good resources are here. Yes, sir.
true, true, true. You've given a lot of information and a lot of things
Sir,
like so that really we need to ponder upon the things. You know,
sir,
you know, whenever we are talking about the product market fit, actually, no.
sir,
So, what could be the common misconceptions? Like few we have been seeing across that there are things which are happening across. Like you try to get across on one domain, but actually, like I said, accidentally it was there. So, can there be some mechanism by which we can really identify like this is the thing that you're thinking of, and if you use these steps, these specific processes, so you would be able to have more insights into those things.
sir. So I think, sir, today, for example, if we go 10 years back, sir, let's talk of digital products only for everyone will understand it better because product could be a shampoo, soap, or, requires much different kind of a framework. So regarding digital products, sir, 10 years ago, people used to think more in terms of full stack, which is the back end, the middleware, and the front end. And that actually required more thinking and that also required a higher capex, right? So today, most of the problems are now on the front end because back end is largely taken care by a platform like AWS, Azure, etc. So now backend problem is solved. So front end, then we look at, so largely it has been reduced to UI UX and the user journeys, right? So where then product market fit has to focus because other aspects can be taken care of. And now using such Gen AI tools, interestingly, I have seen last couple of sir, months that data is now playing an even stronger role. For example, while building some legal tech solutions like let's say a document drafting tool, we realized that there isn't enough data. So how do you train in your scarcity of data is another part. So you need to work on. So in such scenarios, then sir, data analytics plays a prominent role. We need to define framework in terms of what are you testing, what will be the end result, how will your engine become better. Because talking about Gen AI, so you have the LLMs, which are the chat GPTs or the deep seeks of the world, and then you have SLM, small language models, which we can build around as a wrapper around the LLMs. So there, then our data aspect becomes key because otherwise it will just be a plain vanilla your wrapper, which is just taking the feed from LLM, and then there is no kind of a differentiation. So I think now increasingly product is moving from sir, if you look at Zomato in 2011, they just built a plain classified ranking the your sir restaurants. So,
Restaurants,
and
yeah.
that was a relevant then. But then Dipendra Goyal has moved fast, right? So in this case, they your move to your kitchen this inventory management, and then your through Hyperpure they added a layer for raw materials, and then they built, sir, the dark kitchens. Now they have gone to quick commerce. Now then they realize that suddenly, sir, the problem is not just food. So now they are competing and they are perhaps bigger than your Flipkart or Amazon. So they realize that, sir, as they see in there is a Hindi word, send lagana. Send lagana,
Yes.
yeah. So if you are not, careful, koi, someone will send lagao in your fort, like the Trojan horse, right? So for a while, sir, if you see, Amazon still is saying quick commerce se kuch nahi hota hai. I would spend some, sir, 2 minutes. A very, very senior person, I respect him, Shri Kishore Biani ji, owner of Big Bazaar. So 2007, 8, he had 2000 plus stores in the country. And I remember reading, sir, that one person asked him a question, a journalist, that are you going to respond to Amazon Flipkart? He said, unka model is different. I am fairly stable and secure. And so I was actually, sir, reading one article or a book by Sir Jack Ma, Alibaba's founder. So he said e-commerce is a triangle. Your front end, which is, sir, the website or app, your logistics and payments. He said if you don't control all three, your e-commerce model will not succeed. Now, if you see, sir, let's understand this big bazaar question only, that he had the front end, which is basically physical front end. But the unit economics was different because the P&L of a, sir, a physical store is different. So people, because the warehouse will work differently, your inventory will work differently. So point is, sir, that he was not able to respond to the lower unit economics of an e-commerce model. And we all know Kishore Biani, sir, unfortunately, we all know where he is now, and God may give him, sir, more chances to succeed. But point is, sir, that we need to understand. So now today, when we look at product, so it is not just plain vanilla website. We have to look at the data part. That do we understand the data, and how will the data churn? What is so? Because, sir, in every industry, whether it is ed tech, whether it is health tech, whether it is gaming, whether it is legal tech, so it is the data aspect which is going to be the differentiator. And today, when you go to the market, you need to have a basic minimum viable product based on that. And then, sir, increasingly it will train itself on the data. So today, if you see, sir, for example, Tesla as a car is valued more than all the US car companies put together, whereas Tesla sells less than 1/10 of the car. Because a Tesla is not hardware. It is hardware plus software, and especially it is using the data and training the engine. So it will know that a Tenzin using car, how does he drive in summer, winter, and, sir, your autumn, and in Delhi or, sir, whichever cities. So insurance product will become better, or loan product will become better. I'm saying that we need, so for every product detail, I would urge my fellow entrepreneurs here to keep an eye on the data today, because without understanding data, your product strategy will not work. Sir.
True.
Yeah.
Now what I'm seeing across is not only the startup, it is the existing entrepreneur, the existing businesses. They also have to go back on the drawing board, see to it what product market fit they are having, because this is something which is ever evolving. There are going to be new models which are emerging. So your business model, from where they are going to face the competition, you never know.
Yes.
In fact, I recall the earlier days when the FDI in retail, a lot of debate was going around that it should be allowed or not allowed. What's going to happen to our the Kiryana stores near about, and then the studies were being conducted which said that they are going to coexist because it is a huge market. So let's say single brand retail FDIs would be allowed, and gradually the experimentally model is going to be enhanced. But with the coming of the the Q-commerce, the fear that was at that point of time, now it is coming in the forefront.
Sir, it is now real, sir.
It's now real. It's now real. Yeah, true. So that means the concepts take some time to mature. Then they get across onto a domain. Then you are going to see the impact.
Please. So so very interestingly, sir, because it's a different topic, but I would like to add one thing here. So very recently, for example, Microsoft has launched its quantum computer, but it is still 10 years away from any meaningful productive work. So qubits are the basic building blocks. So they have built it with, I think, a larger number of qubits. But interesting part is, sir, as I said, sir, one of my areas of interest is quantum computing's relationship with Indian philosophy like, sir, Shunyata and Advaita, and relevance to product. So what is happening today, sir? Imagine a quantum computer which comes in, which basically is, sir, able to, have real world applications. And on the other hand, the Gen AI is improving. So one thing, sir, which of course everyone know here, is that in GenAI there is no core algorithm. So now typically what happens is that there are millions of nodes. These nodes work like human brain, like a neural network, and then they figure out what is the actual aspect in a multimodal manner, right? So if it is a table, if it is a chair, or is it a human being, or likewise on complex, methods also. So now the faster these algorithms can train and become better. And imagine, so quantum computing, as we all know, sir, today digital computers are binary. Each position can have a 0 1, whereas quantum computing can have n positions. So with that massive computing and GenAI, your algorithms, or let's say frameworks, using that, I'm saying we may enter into an area which would be very, very different. And that is happening in maybe next 4 to 5 years. Yes, sir.
Now, there's a practical problem which comes in front of a startup also, and definitely the established business also. What could be the indicators? One thing is that there is going to be some sort of a data, but most of the times in Indian context, like we have seen that the data is not available, or rather the sources, they might not be uh, trustworthy. Like from vague sources we are getting across. What could be the signals that can be really identified, that we are able to identify, yeah, we are getting close to a product market fit or the problem solution fit, or my existing business might having started having some problem in terms of the product or the problem market fit?
Sir. So I think there are two ways to answer this question, sir. One is, sir, the what I call as a conventional way. So
Okay.
now, in this case, sir, as we're discussing in that venture capital presentation also, that how uh, sir, a new product launch should perhaps increase its engagement by 15-20% month on month. How the CAC to LTV, which is 1:3, should be arrived in, let's say, 12 months. And then how the churn should be controlled. So there is a method to it also. But I think, sir, beyond that, there is another way to look at it, which is, I think every entrepreneur here should trust his gut. So gut feeling is very, very important, sir. So now in 2013-14, sir, we were in food tech. I can perhaps say, sir, that we were the first company in India to work on cloud kitchen. I personally went and spoke to, sir, the TajSAT's Bombay head, who is now heading Delhi unit. And I told him, sir, that, he further, when we started discussing, he said that TajSAT's kitchen in Bombay had capacity of 50,000 meals. They were able to sell only 15,000. I said, yeah, there's a massive shortfall. We will help you sell it. He was happy. But once we raised our funding, sir, which is from VCs, they said that this model will not scale. This is 12, 13, sir. He said that open restaurants. Restaurants was a very capex intensive model. The break even point comes after 8, 10 months, sometimes 12 months, and your EBITDAs are also not that high. So what I'm saying is, sir, that we did not believe on our gut. So
Hmm.
we believed on, sir, that others know better. So I
Hmm.
think that aspect, every entrepreneur should, sir, be very careful about that. In the end, trust your gut.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true.
Yes, sir.
Like when we are getting into a particular up with a product or a market, to actually we know the in and out of that. The other
Sir,
person would be seeing with a different perspective.
sir,
So that those perspectives, they make a difference. You
sir.
know.
Yeah. So,
So
so yes, sir.
I think now the cloud kitchen is has now everywhere, and a lot of things it
Correct.
is coming across. Uh, And
Very much, sir. Yeah.
yes, yes, true, true, true. Now, another thing that comes across, like as an entrepreneur, as a startup, like, I love my product a lot,
Sir.
and that product love itself like creates a problem. So, any
Sir.
piece of advice like to the startup,
Sir, Ashok, sir, very, very important question. And that's why I was thinking that our learning from Shunyata and Advaita are important. So I'll add one point here, sir, that it may sound contrary, like a contrarian logic, but never love your product. So we should basically be very, very objective. What I mean is, sir, that imagine, sir, we are in a room and we have a table and we need a plate to eat food. So plate is a tool. So likewise, sir, when we see a product and we see its relevance from how good a tool it is, not how much love we have. I think, sir, this argument can be stretched in terms of raising kids also. So sometimes, sir, over care, over love will make that person very different than what we're thinking. So, and another thing, sir, I feel is, one aspect which is trust your conscience. So there is
Yes.
a very short story, sir. I read it in one of Osho's book. Osho is another very good philosopher. So he said that how do you find how much is enough? He said, imagine you want to eat sugar. So you may go to a nutritionist, you may go to doctor, you may talk to friends, or you may read on books or internet. So he said that why not just eat sugar? After the fourth spoon, you will vomit. So your body will tell this much is enough. So three spoon is what you can take. So, sir,
Yes.
I think this feedback loop, we trust our gut and we come back with checking, and that way the speed is better. Sometimes we may say, oh, that person knows better, or I am not an expert in this area. I think that way we complicate things. So, to answer your question, sir, I think while working on product, we have to be very objective. And I may say that, it's a very strong kind of a statement. Never love your product. So never love anyone, in fact. So that is complicating things. so so
True,
let
true,
it be
true,
what it
true,
is,
true.
sir. Yeah.
Another thing that is coming into my mind across is, when we are starting looking forward for the product, pivoting, you talked about pivoting, you know,
Yeah.
and like persisting is another one. Like we pivot, we persist across the product market fit. So, like, how can we create a balance between these two things? Like, I would be working across pivoting, and then there are going to be some influences coming across.
Sir. So I will, sir, maybe share two examples. So I think, sir, when we used to, sir, when we were doing individual deliveries, we also used to organize parties. Now it meant on-demand party, and today, sir, no one does on-demand party. It is not there on Zomato or Swiggy. So, but it's a need gap where imagine you want to organize a party for 20 people in the college, and it's like शाम को party करनी है या कल को party करनी है. So typically, so that segment is very strong. So now we pivoted from party and individual meals to restaurant. That pivot was largely because of advice from senior investors. That is pivot number one. Second pivot we did while we were in the, sir, health fintech model. We were actually health classified. We were a surgery search engine. We were helping people go to hospitals for their surgery and book. But then we moved on to the second step, which is helping people, get patient finance money while they're hospitalized. Now, in both cases, the first pivot was done basis an external reason, and the second pivot was done basis the internal reason. So I think, sir, based on data and based on necessity, pivot is good, but it can't be because of some notional thing. So in our case, we realized that our classified model required much higher capital to scale, whereas the patient finance model was largely a B2B. We had to acquire a hospital and then we were getting the steady flow of leads. So I think, sir, pivoting is good, but let's not do it when the data is not telling us to do it, sir.
True, absolutely true. Oh. This one of the questions in the chat, like
Sir.
Navneet has put across this. If one have a quality product but its price is high, what can be done to achieve so it can be made cheap? But we need to maintain some quality as well. What process one should apply to reduce its cost, so it can be affordable for all. So, generic question actually.
No, sir. Sorry for interruption, sir. Very, very important question, sir.
Yeah.
Now, let me give some of my learning, sir. So, now, if you look at, as I said, so this question will not be solved looking at just the product. This question will be solved when you look at the P&L. I'll tell you how. So, while we were running the food venture, we realized, as I said, sir, that if you look at Domino's P&L, so their food cost is 22% and labor cost is 22%. Whereas if you look at a normal CCD barista or us, labor cost is 30% or more and food cost was 35%, including consumables. Now, when we, sir, look at the performance inside a particular, let's say, outlet, a Domino's 2, 3 years ago used to do 250 orders a day and 400 rupees bill per order, roughly 1 lakh rupees a day. Whereas a CCD barista was doing 100, 150 orders a day and 150, 200 rupees bill per order, roughly 20,000 to 30,000 a day. So now, if you see a normal outlet, if it sells the pizza, it can't charge a premium. So Domino's was able to charge a premium. So now this is something very, very important. So now in our case, when we were making our sandwiches, we went from Britannia cheese to some other cheese. We said food cost kam karo, margin badhana hai. And then the taste went for a toss. Then we had to bring back Britannia cheese. So I think, sir, to answer this question, we have to build the first this product market fit in terms of engagement. Pricing is step 2. So I think here we need to basically figure out the connect where people eventually would be willing to pay a premium on your service, because price is a discovery. It can't be done on day one. So I think if we can focus more on engagement first, then pricing can come. And for online products, I think, sir, there are interesting ways to look at pricing. You can have a waterfall approach. So basically, we are not looking at one particular aspect only. We are looking at multiple events. Now, let me give you an example of restaurant itself. Imagine, sir, a CCD, and imagine, let's say, Mr. Kumar has gone to CCD. He is one of the 150 orders a day. He's one of them, and he is going to spend 150 to 200. So now, if he eats one sandwich, the restaurant can't force him to eat 2 sandwiches. So the restaurant then has to offer him a drink and a dessert. So the monetization becomes better. Your this ticket size become bigger. So the question here is that here we need to do the right menu engineering, or the monetization would come when we look ourselves as ecosystem and we find more opportunities. In wealth tech, you can have bigger ways to monetize. I'm saying let's not look at one big event only to monetize. Then we will not be able to look at the overall journey properly. And that will in fact improve the product fit also. Sir.
Absolutely true. Lot many times we have seen across, like when we try to satisfy each and every person, then also a lot of problems actually gets into our defining of our product. Just a small thing coming into my mind, like Snapdeal, like the Amazon and Flipkarts were there, Snapdeal entered into it, and they were trying to create their own place and had a lot of investments also being done. So somewhere down the line, they were not able to grab that sort of attention, eyeballs, and so on. So what do you feel like? Does this everything for everyone approach is a problem? And
sir,
if so, how we can look forward for it?
So two sir answers to this, sir. First is, as you rightly said, sir, I think in a typical Pareto rule, sir, 80-20, let's go after the, that segment which is giving you most of your monetization. So there would be a fringe left, which I think we may have to kind of not focus upon. Let's not please everyone. So regarding, sir, Snapdeal, sir, there is another example which comes to my mind, sir, between Ola and Taxi for Sure.
Yes.
So there is a nice article, sir, which I'll share with you later, that Taxi for Sure founder went to US and At that time, both Ola and Taxi for Sure wanted to raise funds. Taxi for Sure was also very close to raising funds. Then, sir, that one unfortunate incident happened in Delhi, where in a Uber cab, I think a girl was harassed or something happened.
True.
So then immediately the investors in US said, how will you mitigate yourself? And he had no answer because he said, I don't know. And in the meanwhile, Ola managed to raise funds and Taxi for Sure lost. So I think, sir, at times there are certain external factors which we can't control. As I was sharing, sir, luck also plays a role, and luck, in fact, plays a bigger role. But to answer the question, I think, sir, let's focus on that niche which is basically giving us the major returns. If you look at another industry like, let's say, gaming, in gaming, sir, if you look at real money gaming, sir, of the total users, 2% to 3% are called as whales or sharks. It is they who will give you the money. 98% are called as fishes. Fishes ko to marna hi hai. So, they will come, they lose money. And the sharks will. If you look at, sir, the stock market, a very similar ratio is there, that 1% by, sir, value and 90% by volume are, sir, delivery traders. Person like me who will hold to Infosys or Wipro share for 2 years. 1% by value, 90% by volume, 10% by value and volume are day traders, and sir 1% by volume and 90% value are F&O, futures and options, sir. So basically the platforms are designed keeping them in mind, and they need the fish to get the volume. So, sir, for example, that Zerodha earlier had a very low commission or almost a zero commission model. Now, of course, SEBI has said you can't do it for, so SEBI is changing. But what I'm trying to say is, sir, that in this case, sir, these are, some aspects where we need to take care of the key core that category. Yeah.
True. No, in every domain, there are going to be these sort of challenges which are going to be there.
Sure.
And definitely government is one of a major, it provides opportunity also, it provides challenges also.
So these days, more challenges, sir.
More challenges. Absolutely, absolutely true, 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 true. We have been seeing across and a lot many emerging frameworks coming across.
Sure.
And like the Gen AI we were talking about, and lot of models across it are happening, and lot of emerging across things coming across.
Sure.
So can you throw some light on some emerging models, like quantum computing was one thing that you talked about, Gen AI is another one. So some other emerging areas where the our students are like listeners, where they can really put across their effort, like there can be some sort of there can be certain gaps which can be there. Like we understand, like in the example of Ola, Uber, Taxi for Sure. Then there's a Blue Smart, which also got into it. So there are going to be these sort of small, niches which are going to be there. So can there be some food for thought, like, where
Sure.
the audiences can really focus upon, like this is a domain where you can really get across and where you can really focus upon.
So I'll answer it in with two categories, sir. And I think there is a contrarian, logic or contrarian way to look at it, which is slightly different. I would say India today, sir, is in a very, very interesting situation, and this sometimes the argument goes into a different direction. So, but I'll try to restrict it. That today, I think, the 10% of India is becoming like Europe, which is growing very fast. 90% is, perhaps not growing so fast or stagnating, right? So now it's a bigger debate. So let's come to two categories, sir. One is education and second is healthcare. So my view is, sir, that, and we can't change external condition. We can't change the government. We can't change Donald Trump. So we have to live with that. But if you look at these two categories, so I would say that the state of the art technology is, good to learn. But in India, there are some other aspects to consider. If you look at, let's say, healthcare, sir, there are 40,000 hospitals in the country. Now, government of India, and irrespective of political party, in healthcare, in 2001, they wanted to spend 2.5% of GDP on healthcare. That target was 2015 in 2001, then shifted to 2025. And today also we are spending 1.2% only, which was in 2001. That spend has not increased. So now, sir, even today, 60% or more of the money spent in India is out of pocket, which is
Hmm.
people like you and me are spending from our pockets. And of the 40,000 hospitals, 2,500 are 100 bedded or more. Rest all are less than 100 bed, which is what I call as the Lalaji hospitals. So
Hmm.
now, in this case, if you go to an average Lalaji hospital, their technology is broken. Not that they are not spending, but the OPD system, the EMR system, the cath lab, the OT, the diagnostic system, the post surgery recovery system, all that is in silos, not talking to each other. So if you have seen the movie Moneyball on Netflix, so
Yes.
that movie is a real life story where Brad Pitt plays a protagonist who changed the way your American this baseball was played. They you earlier used to choose some star players, three, four star players, and others were nobodies. He said that we need to have a better than average performance at every position. Now, in hospitals in India, for example, they are still, I think, affected by the star doctor syndrome. You get a good surgeon, he does a surgery, he goes away, and the paramedic staff, nursing staff, they don't know anything about कि patient को क्या हुआ है, data कहाँ पे है, data is physical. Now, doctor
Hmm.
comes, he interprets it and then does the surgery, he goes away. Nothing wrong with it. But hospital as an ecosystem is not able to identify patient engagement because of which there is a big, your leaking bucket. I'm not talking of
Hmm.
the Fortis or the Medantas. They have a composite system. I'm talking of the 99% hospitals who are not there. So question is that the state of the art technology will not help because these hospitals do not have capex.
Yes.
Government of India has put a cap on pricing. EBITDAs are stressed, and your average is a Lalaji hospital. उसके पास पैसा ही नहीं है, and
Hmm.
then he makes money through shortcuts here and there. So because of that, I'm saying to solve the healthcare challenge in India, our entrepreneurs have to move closer to the supply chain.
Hmm. Hmm.
Now,
Hmm.
if you look at education in India, sir, another sector which is, I think, government is neglecting, also because it is in the concurrent list like health. So 66% state government, 33% central government, and again every state has its own measures. So of the 50,000 colleges, 20,000 are government owned or aided, 30,000 are private. And now, if you look at, sir, on an overall basis, let's look at one particular aspect in your education, which is education loans. Education loan is a 1 lakh crore market today in India, of which 90% is financed by PSU banks. Why? Because it is coming under priority sector lending. Because the NPAs there are 8% or more. At that
Hmm.
level, sir, banks can't work. Now, why are NPAs high? Because the banks don't have any data about the college. College का P&L, performance, placement salary, student records, data ही नहीं है. Now,
Hmm.
point is that we need innovation there, right? So that is why, sir, every year a very large number of students are going to study outside. So the money spent by government on higher education in India is less than money spent by your students going to study abroad. Yeah. So it is so a point is there are a lot of anomalies. So we have to basically go closer to the market and use whatever tech. So I don't think we need state of the art tech. Any which way, sir, in India, if you see, our Gurujis have said, in fact, TCS chairman was saying that we don't need LLMs. We are happy. So point is LLM any which ways need a big investment. But nevertheless, I'm saying, sir, if you look at our requirements, so we need, sir, I would say better than average tech, but we need to understand the supply chain. Another category is, let's say, agri-tech or agriculture. Agriculture today, sir, 46% of the population is in agriculture and 15% of GDP is in agriculture. But of the total people, 80% have less than 1 acre of land, and of the 80%, 50% are landless.
Hmm.
So now, sir, this is such a fragmented. How will you add value to them and make money? You are not doing philanthropy. So
Hmm.
today, sir, government has, for example, I'll spend 2 minutes on it, instituted ENAM, National Agriculture Marketplace, and ENWR, National Warehouse Receipts. Now, theoretically, a farmer like I am from Himachal, sir, we have some apple production. Now, a apple farmer can come to Chandigarh and put it in a cold chain where the cold chain is certified by ENWR, National Warehouse Receipt Authority, and can issue a ENWR receipt. The farmer will go back, discount the your receivable in a bank. Bank will give him money, and the warehouse will basically auction it, and Aarti or a merchant from Chennai can buy it, and the your insurance company will insure it, and the supply chain will work. But none of that is happening. Theoretically, it is there. The framework is there, but this is not happening because who will do it? And sir, current government also, I'm not taking this or that, but it has not been able to solve this problem. The point is, when we want to solve it as an entrepreneur, we have to pick one area and go deeper. So I think that is where the absolute tech is not important. It is, sir, its application which is important.
True, 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 true.
Sir.
From agri-tech again, rural fintech, if I talk about,
Sir.
so that's another area quite associated with that.
Yeah.
The financial inclusion, like
Sir.
definitely a lot of efforts are being done, but still, their sort of financial inclusion isn't there.
Sir.
In fact, another thing coming into mind, like we have seen across, there are lot many like housemates which are there across in cities also. Leave about the rural, like in fact most of them, like they would not be having the access to the banks or to the lot of other financial institutions. So they definitely like a lot of scope and lot of area where a lot of work can be done, and lot of the products and markets can be explored.
No, sir, it's a very large market, sir, India. And then I think as again yesterday, sir, today it is very, very ripe for innovation and disruption. So entrepreneurs have a bigger role to play and make money also, sir.
Yes. So Tenzin, thank you very much for being here. It was really a wonderful discussion here with you. Quite an in-depth understanding regarding the product market fit and the problem fit that we have really made across. And we have identified or really answered the queries also which are there in the chat. I'm pretty sure our audiences would also be able to get across a good insights regarding it. This one query which just Vinay has put across. He says, I'm planning to launch my own clothing brand for Indian domestic market. My question is, how should I compete against the brand like Zudio, who are selling their product at a very low cost as they produce big volume in one article? And as a new startup, I will have to work based on MOQ across wide range of product, which will cost very high. So please share thoughts as how should I strategize?
I think, sir, just to add, sir, as I said, one initiative which I have is I also am running an incubator. So, sir, whomsoever in the audience wants to, sir, as a second level of discussion, want to know more and grow their startup, sir, happy to interact with them. So I'll share my details and you can share it with them, sir. To answer this question, I think using the context of product market fit, I think we need to identify which category. Yes, yesterday in a very select your group, we were discussing, one category which is not often discussed, your men undergarments, right? So today in men undergarment, for example, the largest player is jockey. But we were discussing that how jockey products also are substandard. And, some of the new entrants, one of them was basically this Uniqlo. Uniqlo is the Japanese company, right? So as against, your larger brands like a Zara or, others who launch hundreds of products, Uniqlo launches products in your double digits. But if you see, we realize that their products are so good. We are all saying that Uniqlo's men undergarments were much better. So point is, what I'm trying to say is that, in this particular case, we may have to choose a particular category. We can't be producing everything. And trust me, pricing is in the mind. Because when we were doing individual meals, so we were selling 350 to 450 grams of food. And we did not get more than 150 rupees. This is 2011 to 2013, 14, right? But when we were doing parties, so we were again selling same 350, 450 grams food, but the presentation was different in a buffet and serving it. And their per person pricing used to be 1,500 to 2,500, 10 times. Suddenly, I was surprised that people are willing to pay 10 times more for the same quantity of food. So it is also about, I think, other aspects, including presentation and what niche to target. So pricing is in the mind. So we can't say that, how to, kind of, let's say, do a head collision with a big bazaar or your Tata Trent. I think that's not a way to look at it. Identify a need gap, identify a pain point, and then come from there. We could be selling men undergarment only. That itself is such a large market.
Absolutely, absolutely true. Like, Vinay, for your query, I hope you have got the answer and got the clue. Like, don't look towards what Zudio or Trend or Pantaloon is doing. Try to identify that particular market, that particular area where you really want to focus upon. So there are different tools and ways by which you can really get across onto that, and then you can gradually look forward for it. I have in the chat. I have shared across like uh, Tenzin sir's LinkedIn ID. You can connect with him on LinkedIn also, and definitely we will be having other sessions also where we can have like a one-to-one sort of a chat or a small group a chat also. So we'll plan in that way also. Fine.
Yes.
So. I think we are through with most of the things. Okay, there's one more query which is there by Sam about how would one start thinking around service market fit after analyzing the industry P&L. Would list few main pointers that need to be looked majorly in terms of healthcare industry. I think healthcare already he has elaborated a lot. That means there is so much of a gap which is
Sure.
existing.
And
So,
it's
anything
a
you want to
very
add
big industry,
further on this?
sir. It's a $350 billion industry. It's, hundreds of opportunities in healthcare. Hundreds.
True, true,
Sir.
true, true, true. Absolutely true. So thank you very much, Tenzin, for being here,
Please,
for
sir. Sure,
sparing
sir.
time.
Please, sir.
We'll have more sessions so that we can have more insights into some other startup concepts also.
Please, sir. Sure.
And like any of our audiences, if you want to be associated with Tenzin sir, part of his incubator also, like you can really get in touch with us
Yeah.
and we can help you in getting across to him, and definitely through LinkedIn also you can approach him.
Please, sir. Sure.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
sir.
Tenzin. Thank you very
Thank you, sir.
much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Sir,
Thank
sir,
you.
sir.
Bye bye.
Listen, bye.